I've had a number of conversations lately about the continuity of evidence and proof of a lie. For example, you may recall that I said that there may have been proof of a lie in the Amber Heard trial, when she says that a phone was thrown at her face, only when she was describing it in court, it didn't match the photographs of the actual alleged injury. For example, when in court on the stand giving evidence, she described this incident pointing to her left eye. But of course, all of the photographs showed the injury to her right eye. Now, these conversations that I've been having recently about the continuity of evidence come to the core of evidence in court and how your story is to be believed. Because the more consistent your story is, the more likely it is to be believed. And if there is something starkly contradicted like this, then your evidence might fall apart. In fact, it's one of the key components of a cross-examination to uncover and highlight inconsistencies in evidence, because a previous inconsistent statement is going to be evidence in court, and you can refer to it, and it's going to be admissible, because it's a previous statement that you made that is now inconsistent with something that you are now saying in court. So if you want to know more about the process of cross-examination and how to put together a cross-examination, whether you are a law student or whether you simply want to put your case together yourself, check out BlackBeltBarrister.com, linked in the description below, with the discount code on screen right now. So you can grab that discount at my website below for exclusive content on exactly how this is done. And indeed, you might recall there were a number of inconsistencies throughout the Depp Heard trial. And I made the point about the phone, using that as the example, that if someone were to have sustained a serious injury, they would virtually certainly be able to remember which part of the body that was on, and when describing that injury, they would be pointing to that part of the body. For example, I've suffered a number of injuries over the years, and some of them very strange, including avocado hand. That really is a thing. Every morning I would put the knife into the stone, twist it, and take it out. This one morning it wouldn't go through, so I pushed it a little bit harder. Saying no more, it was this hand that got injured. Now, I can point to this hand. I remember that very vividly because it was a fairly serious injury. I remember being in Australia in my early 20s. I was on the top bunk of a bed in some hostel somewhere. I leaned across to pass somebody something, and the fan took a chunk out of my elbow, and it was this one here. Each of these injuries over the years you will remember, even though that was some 20 odd years ago. But when I tell you this story, I will point directly to the exact place that this happened. I know exactly where this injury happened, and even when I look for it, I can find the scar there. But if I'm telling you this story about a prior injury, I can tell you exactly which one it was, and I will naturally and instinctively point to that part of my body. In fact, I think when I did the video earlier in the summer, when I was talking about my knee because I'd had a recent knee injury, I would be pointing to the knee where I had that injury. You don't forget these things. You will point to where that injury took place. Now, if you had a fairly serious injury to the face, and so serious that you wanted to go and get a restraining order over the person that had caused that injury, you would remember where that injury was, and there'd be no mistaking as to which eye it was that had got injured in this incident. And it's a notorious inconsistency in evidence in court throughout trials, where somebody will mix up the left and the right, because these are not generally things that you're going to mix up. There may be some occasions when you mix up left and right, which side it was on or something like that, but if it was an injury, you're going to remember exactly where it was. Another random example, when I was in school, some kid stabbed my hand with a pencil. It was this one here, and it was right there. To this day, there's a little black mark there underneath the skin from when he jabbed me in the hand with a pencil. I was probably about 8 years old, so all those years ago I can still tell you not just the hand, but exactly where it was. You don't forget these things, you will point to that part of the body. So these conversations that I've had have been very interesting because some of them have had contradictory evidence given to them in writing on some occasions, where the evidence just doesn't stack up and doesn't marry with what they've said before. And so when you get to court and someone gives evidence, one of the reasons, in fact, that we rely upon live evidence in criminal cases is because of the standard of proof required. If someone is to be convicted of something, they are to be convicted beyond a reasonable doubt. Or how it's given to a jury these days is that they are sure that this thing happened. So by giving live evidence, it is giving the jury the opportunity to see this witness and hear this witness give their story by all account and make a judgment as to whether that witness is telling the truth. And then when they are cross-examined immediately afterwards on that evidence, and perhaps a previous statement which is inconsistent with the evidence that they are giving now, then obviously the two don't marry up, they are inconsistent, and it is less credible. So when you have a body of evidence where there are inconsistencies throughout, so whenever you are going through any kind of dispute, it's important to remember that consistency really is key. It's key to your credibility, it's key to your evidence, and ultimately it is key to whether a judge or a jury will believe what you are saying. So I hope you found that useful. Check out BlackBeltBarrister.com if you want to see more about how to put these cross-examinations together, because I'm still building this website. There's lots more content to come, and many people so far have emailed me to say that they've won their case because of guidance that they found on my channel or on my website. So I hope you found that interesting. Please remember to like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.